Rule number one, give value to your ICP and you'll get rewarded with karma. As you build that karma and as you build that post history in the communities that you care about, you're going to be passing the checks that different moderators will put or different subreddits will put. So some subreddits have like explicit karma thresholds. Other ones auto flag content to moderators. They're going to see that you're a brand. What their question on their mind is going to be, are they adding more value than they're taking from my community? You need the answer to be more value. You're giving more value. Once you get there, we think of this like you can graduate from this stage at about 250 karma. You can start to create engagement threads. So this is starting threads that aren't saying, hey, come look at my product. It's trying to tap into hot button issues that pull the experiences and opinions of other people who are in your niche into a valuable resource that you've now curated, and your name is going to be all over it. And then and only then can you start to direct intent by making threads that are a bit more self-promotional. And there's a scale here too, from like lightly self-promotional to explicitly self-promotional. I'll get into some of those details after. But basically, do not skip stages, because if you do, content will get removed. You're going to accumulate black marks in your account. Reddit's going to treat you with suspicion. You won't get any reach. Okay.
Hey, Colin, for people in our audience who are a little bit new to Reddit, what is karma
Yes.
and how is it calculated?
Yes. So karma, think of this as it's a score that your profile accumulates based on the amount of likes that your content gets. So if somebody likes a post, that adds one karma to your account. If someone downvotes it, which is in Reddit, we use upvotes and downvotes. Think of it as likes and dislikes. If someone dislikes it, you lose karma. So basically, it's a proxy for the aggregated opinion of the community about you. So it's used as like, I'm using karma also as a proxy for a broader thing called CQS, which is actually the score that Reddit assigns to every account to decide where it is. But think of karma, it's the easiest one to think about. So the more value you add, the more upvotes your content gets, the more karma your account accumulates, the more reach Reddit decides it's safe to give you.
Perfect. Thank you. Cool. And just as a reminder to everyone in the audience, if you do have a question, please put it into the Q&A box just so that it's less noisy in there. Thanks.
Cool. So I'll break down each of these. I just want to touch on a couple important things to think about. So, and we just kind of talked about this, but higher karma increases your brand's reach over time. So we need to optimize for karma. That's why we're focusing on adding value, because we'll get rewarded for that over time. And the other thing to keep in mind is we can create a lot of content around the topic of our brand. It's one thing that ChatGPT is going to look at when it's referencing Reddit. It's also going to look at how many times your brand is mentioned and the character of those mentions. Aside from being a big brand with a product with a lot of usage, the best way to influence the amount of people who are mentioning you is to become known, liked, and trusted in these communities. So that's the other kind of underpinning here. If you want to influence seeded mentions, that's what we refer to influencing other people to mention you. You need them to know you, like you, and trust you. That you need to be a part of their community. These are not real numbers. This is for illustration's sake. Okay, laying the foundation. Step one. I'm going to try to be conscious of time, make sure that we have space for questions at the end. This is the most boring part, but the most misunderstood part of building a Reddit presence. You can think of it as the way that we conceptualize this is a lot of brands like they think they can't put their brand name in their handle because they're worried that they're going to get downvoted. That is a misconception based on the fact that most brands that try are actually spamming communities and people hate that. But what you don't want to be in a position is the position you don't want to be in is being forced to shoehorn your brand name into your content, because people will hate that even more because it'll be making the content about you and not them. So the way that we think about it is you need to have the brand name in your handle, preferably the first word, and we like to add a person's name on it. There's a bunch of reasons why, but basically it deflects any kind of like heat that you might catch. At some point, you get more upvotes because people think you're a real person, which you are. And it also gives you a little bit more freedom to maybe speak with a little bit more flexibility than you would if this was like the official brand handle. Side note, hilariously, use a woman's name. You will get more upvotes. You will get less negative feedback. You didn't hear it from me. So yeah, when we're getting started, so we are building our account, the two things that we need to do in the beginning are, as we're kind of like getting ourselves ready, is to figure out where the content is going to be that we want to comment on. So aligning on keywords and subreddits that are highly aligned with our brand. We want to browse them daily. We want to set up alerts. There's a bunch of tools you can use for this. You're going to probably have a tune-in period for the keywords. Think if anyone knows Google Ads, think about like phrase match instead of exact match, because there's just too many keywords for that and you want to be flexible. And then a method that we focus on is building a brand Reddit GPT to be able to, it's just not going to be possible to comment enough referencing your brand material, pulling in your brand voice information, and optimizing it for Reddit if you just do it yourself only. You can do that, but if you're not the person that wrote every one of those blog posts and knows all of the background content, you're just not going to be able to do it. So highly recommend building a robust like brand commenting GPT and then use it. Actually, I should say build this as you are building your karma. So this is going to be dumb, but you have to do it. Go to subreddits with low barriers to entry. There's some that are like Ask Reddit. There's a few that we've identified like r/digital nomad. Basically every pet related or animal related subreddit, music related subreddits, like think interest groups that don't have a lot of like business interest trying to get in. They will let you post with a young low karma account. We're trying to show Reddit that we are human. We're trying to show people that look at our account that we are human, and we are trying to use these comments and sometimes threads to get upvotes on the content to get ourselves to 100 karma. It's dumb. You have to do it. Don't skip it. Once you hit 100 karma, 30 days, it's time to start building authority. This is commenting on threads that are relevant to your ICP that aren't being like, hey, buy my stuff. Your ad is your handle. Your landing page is your profile. So think of the comment that you're adding as the way that you're getting your name in front of people. So just seek to add value. If you have this GPT running, you can analyze the thread to find like all the sub questions, all the opportunities to add value. If you can reference your blog with the GPT, you can kind of pull in references so that like you're always keeping aligned with the, let's call it like the intellectual property of the brand. And you basically just need to do this day in, day out until you hit 250 karma. You want to keep a spread across a good amount of subreddits because that mitigates risk in the case that eventually you get shadow banned or removed from a certain subreddit, which will happen. Some of them have extremely tight moderation around spam, and sometimes even having your name they'll call spam. In that case, find those, get banned from them. It doesn't matter. You weren't going to make it work there anyway. It's better to find out sooner rather than later. And just like work this, like figure out, like this is also a great opportunity to learn about the market and like what's going on. Use it to put yourself, or yeah, hang on. But before we use that, this is kind of the way that we operationalize this in general. I've already alluded to this, but basically GPT analyzes the thread, finds the opportunity, drafts the comment. Then you want human polish before you post for sure. You want to post from the same device, same IP, and you want to engage with sub comments. We call this engagement compounding. So if your comment gets like 3 comments and then you respond to each of them, suddenly you have 6. And Reddit's like, hey, that's good. Like, let's push this in front of more people.
Cool. Hey,
So
Colin.
that's how we think of, yes.
Sorry, there's a timely question. Someone just asked about the GPT drafting comments. Wouldn't it get flagged by Reddit? Does Reddit look for content created by AI?
So basically, no, it has not happened to us yet. That's why the human polish is an important section here. You want to edit at least a little bit, but at least for us, like our GPT process is so robust around like instructing how to write for Reddit, instructing how the brand wants to speak, that it irons out most of that stuff. I say GPT here. I prefer Claude for this, to be honest. Strongly recommend using Claude instead. But in general, like, yeah, don't skip the human polish part, but just use it for the heavy lifting of like finding the reference material, doing some searching if it needs to find like precedent or like best practice or whatever it happens to be that would make the response valuable, and run it through like your own like logical faculties plus your own kind of like creative writing faculties before it goes out. But it will save you time and it will increase the quality if you do it that way.
Great. Thanks.
Cool. Do that for 2 months. Once you're done that, come up for air. Now you can start thinking about the fun stuff. So curating the conversation, creating engagement is what we're going to do now. So we have this idea that we refer to these as engagement threads. They are threads that we are creating in the communities full of your target customer. We're trying to find the hot button issues, the emotional topics, the controversial things, the ideas that like cause the community to galvanize in camps. And we want to use that to create a conversation that gets people to respond. That's the only, the first filter is this relevant to my ICP? If yes, how do we find something that they respond to? The goal being, if you can launch these threads, they'll end up getting pretty reliably, in most subreddits,